So what's SIEM is basically security information and event management. Okay. So what it will do, it helps in collecting, passing, correlating events from various log sources. Once we collect these logs from various log sources, okay, what it does is that it converts into a structured format. Okay, once it converts into structured format, what are the other things it will do? We'll see in next slides. Okay, for now, understand it collects logs from various log sources. It will store in a it will process it and store in a specific database. From there, we can query, we can write. Say we can write different rules and it will alert us, it will notify us. So main feature is threat detection, investigation, and we can respond to those alerts. Okay, then we'll see the Gartner report. Basically this report will give you the leaders, challengers, nice players, and visionaries. So at present leaders are Securonix, Exabeam, and IBM Splunk. So these are in the leaders section. Then we don't have any challengers. Then we have nice players. You can see Elastic. Then you have Micro Focus. These are on the players side. Okay. So these we call it as a Gartner report. Based on this report, we can say like who are the market leaders. This is as on April 2021. Okay. Now we'll see like why do we require a SIEM solution? Does anyone have any answer for this? Why do we need a SIEM solution? The first reason is compliance. So every company need to follow certain rules, like they need to store the logs for certain period. That is called as log retention, right? So you need to store in hot storage, cold storage, and archive storage for some time. Okay, so that we call it as a for compliance requirement, we call it as a log retention. That is one use case. So we have we have two more use cases of, like for example, so if there is a breach, okay, if there is a breach and you want to investigate that, okay, some endpoints are compromised or there is a ransomware attack or there is a malware attack. Now we need to investigate. If there is no logs from where you cannot go to individual system and get the logs from that system and investigate, right? Either you should have an endpoint detection response or you should have a SIEM solution where agent will collect the logs and push into the SIEM. Now in SIEM you can see the logs of all the log sources, and from there you can start your investigation. Okay, that is one thing. It makes your incident response or incident management efficient, and in your investigation efficient. Then the second thing is that in case there is a data breach and the customer is asking for the some evidence, like what is the data that got breached, or what is the attacker artifacts or something is asking, like how do you give that if you don't have a solution like this where you can get the logs from different log sources? Okay, you need to provide some evidence to maybe a client or to a court or to a legal side. Say for example there is a data breach and you need to investigate on that, or you need to file a complaint or something. Then they will ask for some proofs, right? Or they will ask some data for that, from where you can get data if you don't have any correlation or like if you don't have any source where it stores the centralized repo of all these logs, right? So for all these use cases, SIEM will help us in investigation or storage, or for compliance or for legal. It will help in all these activities. Okay, and if you see the I mean the regular tools like antivirus or say firewalls, IDS, IPS, these are basically the preventive technologies. Means they will stop the threats, right? SIEM is mostly used for detection and analysis. It will not proactively stop the threat, but it will help us for detection of any internal threat vectors or external threat vectors. It will not immediately stop. That is the action that the analyst or the incident response team has to take care of. That it is not a preventive solution, it's a detection and analysis solution. Okay, if we have a SOAR with SIEM, then it can take an action to basically stop the traffic or isolate a machine. That response can be taken if you have a SOAR with SIEM. Okay, so that is about SIEM. Then I told there are different the process that are happening in the SIEM. One is parsing. Parsing is basically it will convert the unstructured raw data into a structured format. Okay, Generally, if you see a raw file, if you see a log file, it will be in a single line with the date, say the failed, like the failed attempts and the username, then the IP port and all in a single line, right, in the log file. Now, what it will do, it will convert into different, it will convert into an event, past event. It will parse that in a JSON format or a specific fields, and it will display in a structured way. That we call it as a parsing. Okay, then normalization. Like more or less both are same, but normalization generally it will categorize the according to, for example, if there is any authentication specific logs, it will categorize all these into a specific category. Okay, then aggregation means you have different logs coming with the same IP, or with the same, say within the same time you're getting different logs from the same source. Instead of giving all those data, it will give the count of that, so that in that way it is removing the duplicates and you are saving the data. Okay, correlation is nothing but you will give set of conditions basically to indicate the, or to find the suspicious behavior. Okay, correlation is something you do using different log sources. You write your correlation rules so that you identify the malicious person. Okay, so parsing, normalization, aggregation, then it will get stored in a database. From there you write your correlation rules. So as I told you, from log sources, okay, these is the log source or endpoint. From here it comes to SIEM. Here it gets the processing. This is the processing. Once it is processed, then it is stored, maybe stored and processed. Okay, then you can write your rules on it, or the correlation conditions on it. Okay, that is the internal working. Then we'll see the collection methods. So what are the different ways we can collect the logs from different log sources to SIEM? One is agent, API, syslog. If it is a database, then you should use DB collectors. So if you see agent based, then you have, for example, if you take ELK, you have WinLogBit, FileBit, WinLogBit for Windows, FileBit for Linux. If you take Splunk, you have Universal Forwarder. If you take QRadar, you have WinCollect. Okay. If you take APIs, generally APIs are used for, say, there are certain cases where you want to send the data via APIs. It might be programmatically, or for some network devices and all. Okay, in that case, use for different. There are different mechanisms for every tool. If you take firewall, generally we use syslog. We use syslog for firewall to send the logs, and we use for database, we use JDBC and ODBC connectors. We use data collectors here. Okay, database collectors. If you take endpoint servers and all, we use agents. Okay, if you use different network devices and solutions, for some devices we use APIs. Okay, so these are the, if you take switches, routers, there is something called span port that we use. Okay, so there are two types, pull and push. Have you heard about this? Have you worked on this? Okay, so push is generally we call it as an agent based. Okay, so if you take the agents, okay, these will basically push the logs to SIEM. Okay, if you take syslog or API, sorry, API or DB collectors, generally we call them as a pull based. Okay, the API will fetch the data and will send to the SIEM. Okay, these are pull based, and syslog, agent, these all are push based. Okay, agent itself will send the data. That is push. Okay. Okay, then we'll see the general architecture, like how does in a real-time environment or real-time company, how does the architecture works. So if you see, if you consider this is your entire SOC environment, this complete thing is your SOC environment. If you consider, then for example, if you take any tool, here I'm taking ELK. Okay, this is your Logstash pipeline, and this is your Elasticsearch. Then you have your visualization, which is Kibana. Okay, now these are different log sources. We have Snot here, which is IDS. Then you have your Linux, Windows. Then this is Honeypot. Okay, from these all sources, you are collecting the data here. Okay, similarly, if you have any test data, you can upload that test data. Okay, and you can run your own scripts. Okay, to evaluate your SEM. To evaluate your SEM, this is called Red Team Atomic. Using this, you can run your own scripts to test or to evaluate your SEM, whether the rules are triggering or not. You can do your R&D using this Red Team Atomic. Okay, now the data is stored here from various log sources. Okay, now from here it is processed and you can view the data in Kibana. This is visualization tool. Okay, now from here you can do further automation, which I told. You can attach to a case management tool where you can create tickets. Okay, then you can attach to a Cortex where you can automatically get the threat intelligence. Okay, you can get the threat intelligence feed from various sources, and you can feed to the Hive. This is called the Hive. This is called the Cortex. This is MISP. This is nothing but threat intel feed. Okay, that comes to Cortex. Now Cortex will talk to Hive and it will try to analyze the logs, okay, or the alerts that are created in the Kibana, that will go to Hive. Here you can use these Cortex analyzers to analyze. So generally what you will do, in case if you get any brute force alert or something, what you will do in your company, you will go to that particular alert and find the source IP, and you will go to VirusTotal and check, right? That's the manual activity. Now what the automation, what we can do is that the alerts automatically pops up into any case management tool. It can be the Hive or any other thing. Now what you can do is that you can use these Cortex analyzers on behalf of you. It will go to the VirusTotal or any other platform and it will get the data for you, the report for you, whether the IP is malicious or not. This is the automation part. Okay, then we have response. I talked about automation part. Now I'm talking about the response part. Response means it will automatically go and block the type in the firewall. That is response. Okay, understood? It is basically doing the remediation, means it is going to the firewall and blocking that IP so that the further traffic will not come. That is the response part. Okay, that also you can do via Cortex Hive with these architecture. These are open source tools. We have commercial tools for SOAR like Splunk Phantom. You have then you have Cortex SOAR. Then you have different tools for commercial tools. This is an open source. Okay, now when I'm saying that the alerts coming in Kibana are creating in a case management tool, now it is your duty, L1 analyst duty, to investigate these alerts. Okay, so you can use different tools for automation and all. Okay, this is the overall architecture. Okay, the same which is represented here. Okay, now let us see the different teams present in an organization. Okay, first let us talk about blue team. Blue team are always defenders. Like when I'm talking about SIEM, SOC, these all defensive security comes under blue team. Then the attackers, like the offensive security, comes under red team. The pen testers or all these ethical hackers all comes under red team. Okay, now basically these people will try to break the security controls, and blue team will try to defend that. Purple team is something which performs like both, like combination of blue and red team. We call them as a purple team. Then we have yellow team, which are like a software coders and all. Then we have orange team, which are like the awareness, the facilitate interaction and education for the employees. Those we call it as orange team. Then we have green team, the automation guys, which who writes the automation code or who writes the flows and all. We call it as a green team. Okay, these are the different team. We call these people as a build. They will build the code or they will do the automations. Then we have defenders, which are blue team, which will try to defend from threats. Then we have red team who will try to break. Purple team is combination of like both blue team and red team. Okay, these all are the people. Then we have white team who take cares of the compliance policies and all. Okay, so let us see like some of the interview questions that will be asked. Okay, in interview they might be asked what is your team size. Okay, how many L1 analysts you have, or how many L2 you have, and what is your team's hierarchy. Like you have manager, then lead, then hierarchy, or like what is your team's hierarchy. They will ask that. Okay, then they will ask different SOC models. I explained you, right? In-house, dedicated, shared, in MSSP, then hybrid, global. They will ask you these different types of SOC models. Then they will ask you what are the log sources that your company is having. For example, you have 100 endpoints, then 10 firewalls. Okay, routers, switches. What are the log sources you are having? Okay, servers. Okay, these are the log sources. They will ask you what are the log sources you are having, how many logs you are getting, how much amount of logs, how many, that we call it as events per second, how many events you are getting per second. Okay, then how many alerts that are getting triggered from that events. Okay, alerts are triggered when you write a rule, right? On logs, logs will always get matches with the rules. When logs are matching with the rules, okay, then you get an alert. Now once you are getting alert, then you'll convert into incident. Okay, if it is an malicious or something, you'll convert into an incident based upon the your investigation. Okay, so logs, log sources, logs. Say you have say we have 100 log sources. You are getting some 10,000 events. Now out of 10,000 events, how many alerts you are getting? Say 10 alerts. Out of 10 alerts, how many are getting to incidents? We say 2 incidents. So they'll ask you this data, like how many log sources you have, what is the log events you are getting, then how many alerts out of that are triggering, then how many incidents you are converting. Okay, how many incidents, how many alerts are converted to incidents out of those. Okay, then they will ask you what are the dashboards you have created or worked on. Okay, then they will ask you about the reports. What are the reports you have created? Have you created any log source report, or have you created any SLA breach report, or have you created any incident report? They will ask you different kinds of reports what you have created. Then they will ask you about the metrics. What are the metrics you observe, like mean time to respond, mean time to detect, all these metrics. Have you worked on these metrics, or have idea about these metrics? These will be asked. Then they will ask you about your shift handover process. What things you will be mentioning your shift handover. So generally we mention the number of incidents, or number of cases that you are investigating, the investigation notes you will write there for the next person to hand over. You'll give all these details in your shift handover. They will ask you about this. Then, so if you are getting huge number of alerts, then how do you handle that? They will ask you those questions. Then if you have a incident, how do you handle? What is the instant response process you follow? They will ask you all these things. They will ask you, do you have a call? Do you have a weekly calls with client? In that client call, what we will be discussing? What reports you will show? What are the questions that client will be asking you? They will ask you those. Then they will ask about log retention. How many days your company stores the logs in hot, cold, and archive storage? Okay, that they will ask you. Then how do you decide a capacity of SIEM before having a SIEM? How do you check the capacity, like how much of capacity of SIEM or log collectors you need for your organization? Okay, it is decided based on the event per second. How many events you are collecting per second? Based upon that, you decide your SIEM. Okay, how do you troubleshoot in case the log source are not coming from logs are not coming from any log source? So these are the possible questions that they can ask. And apart from this, they might ask you some use cases. Like if there is a ransomware attack, if there is a Trojan, if there is a malware attack, so how do you respond to those? What process you follow? So these all practical scenario based questions they will ask you. So I think these are the maximum questions that any interview can ask in terms of SOC, SIEM, and the use cases part. Then I'll just give you a small demo of how does the environment look like and all in your real time. So when I say log sources, these are the different log sources you are having. Say here I'm having FileBit. This is for Linux. I'm getting all the Linux logs here. Okay. Now these are called events. So what events does is that I told you, right? SIEM will process and it will give you unstructured data into a structured way. See, this is the structured way, right? You can see the JSON. So the JSON format, this is how it converts into a proper structure. Okay. Now, if you want to see the unstructured data, how it looks like, I will just show you. Okay. Message. Okay. Here I'm not getting, but yeah. So it will be like in a single line, you'll find the entire data, something like this. You'll find it in a single line. Okay. But it will now it is converting it into a structured data. Okay. This is nothing but backend the parsing is happening. Okay. So these are the log sources. These are the events. Now you will write the rules. So here you have your rules. Okay. These are the different rules you write. Now I wrote one rule. Okay. If someone is trying to log in as such and the outcome is coming failure, means is giving wrong username or password and it is getting failed. Okay, so you can see now I'm getting different alerts. See, okay, I'm getting different alerts. Now what you need to do as an analyst, okay, you need to create a case. You need to create a case and you need to start investigation. Okay, create case. What you will investigate? Okay, you will try to get the IP or the source IP parameters here. You'll try to get the username. Who is the username? He's the internal user. He's the external user. If the source IP is something which is present in your environment or is outside your environment, you'll go to VirusTotal or different threat intel platforms. You will check whether this IP is malicious or not, and you will try to add few controls. Say, for example, in your company, in the login and the username and password field, you don't have a session timeout or a password lockout, something after 2 or 3 attempts. Okay, you will implement all those controls. Here I have not implemented because I can show you the alerts. See, you are getting different. See, from external world, many people are trying with different usernames and password. These can be a script based attacks, or this can be a manual user attempts. Okay, all these attempts are getting failed, and you can see the same IP. Okay, 41.217, 41.217. All most of them are coming from same IP. Now we need to evaluate what is this IP? Is it malicious or not? The investigation and everything you need to carry out. Now you have created a ticket for this. Now you will start investigating. Okay, you will write the case name as say brute force or something, and you will start investigating. This will be assigned to a specific person. Now the person will start investigating, will write his own notes. Now after your shift gets ends, you will hand over this to, there is called shift handover. You will hand over this particular ticket to different person. Now he will start implementing that. Now to automate this process, what I am doing is that I told you, right, I'm creating some automations. So this is our automation platform. Okay, so these are automation platforms. So whatever alerts we are getting here, okay, in the alert section, whatever alerts we are getting, it will automatically get it popped up into here in the alert section of this Hive. This is a case management tool. From here we can easily investigate, because we'll get all the artifacts here. We can start investigating. So what happens is that many times you will investigate one incident and you will write all the notes. The next day what happens, or after 1 month, you will get the same alert, but you cannot get the data because that case was created 1 year back and you cannot search that. That is a problem of manual way of doing it. When you use these kinds of case management tools, every case has a number. Okay, now if I click this case, it will give me the related cases with this. Okay, or if I click an IP, for example, I have some case here. Now I'm opening that. So if there are any matching cases with that, it will give me similar cases. See, it will give me the similar cases with the same IP. The same IP have previously, say 1 year back, I have created one case with the same IP. Same attacker is again trying to exploit or do something. So already a person 1 year back has worked on the similar case. You can see how he has investigated and all. Okay, that is the advantage of having a case management tool. Okay, and you can do some automations like manually you will go to VirusTotal and check for this IP, right, whether this IP is malicious or not. Okay, now what we can do, we can do some automations. uh, this particular tool will go to VirusTotal and get the data for you automatically. Okay, those kinds of automations are possible. Okay, so that is, see, if you can see here, observable is nothing but an IP that has been detected in that alert. Now what we can do, what it will do is that you will go to some VirusTotal, whatever APIs you give, basically you'll go to that website or that platform, get the data report. It will get the report for this particular IP, and it will give you automatically, instead of you manually going and doing that, it is doing it for you. And you can try to write the notes, like for example, what analyst need to do, you need to check logon failures event with username and source IP for event 4625. So this is basically an Windows logon failure alert. So what he need to do, and the second step, what he need to do, he need to do IOC analysis. Means he need to go to this and he need to evaluate this IP is malicious or not. That is the second task he need to do. And once these two are completed, and you can close the case. Okay, and your L2 or L3 person will validate whether it is correct or not. Now how do I assign this? I can assign it to different persons. Okay, here I can assign it to different person. He will start working on that. Okay, so this is how the case management tool will work. This is overall same process. This is overall SOC, we call it as.